Top 10 clash vibes in Oxford, Mississippi. LSU heads to the Vaught. Line hovering over a field goal. 3:30 kickoff on ESPN. I'm your host, Nathan Johnston, alongside betting expert Rooster, and today's guest picker, my mom. Mom, good to have you here.
Thank you.
Rooster, right out of the gates, in one sentence, what's the storyline you're watching for in this game?
I don't even need a sentence. I just need one word. Instagram. I think that one explains itself.
For those who don't know, including my mom, Lane Kiffin, head coach Lane Kiffin of the Ole Miss Rebels,
I heard.
His daughter is dating LSU linebacker, and she announced it yesterday on Instagram.
I love it.
So, what are your takes on it, Mom? Bachelor vibe?
I like a good romance story.
All right, you heard it here first. Rooster, on a serious note, heading into this game, though, this is a big matchup in the quarterback play. Garrett Nussmeier versus Trinidad Chambliss for the Ole Miss Rebels. And, Ole Miss is coming off of a huge season with Jackson Dart. I just want to get your quick take on this quarterback matchup. We've seen Garrett Nussmeier prove himself in the last few weeks in college football as probably a clear favorite for the number one spot in the NFL draft, I would say. But what are your thoughts on this Ole Miss quarterback coming into this game?
Well, the story all offseason and to start the season this year was, wow, this young lefty quarterback who drove straight down the field on Georgia to ignite the win against the Georgia Bulldogs last year. And then he sprains his ankle against Kentucky and has missed the last two games. And then Lane Kiffin brings in Trinidad Chambliss, a guy who the country never even heard of until 2 weeks ago. And now he's looking like the greatest college football quarterback in the entire country. I mean, if you take the stats away and if you take the name away and just put the stats on the board and you ask every person which quarterback they would take, every single person in the country is taking Trinidad Chambliss over Garrett Nussmeier the last 2 weeks. So I think the question is can this young quarterback, he's not even young quarterback, just the inexperienced at a high level quarterback against a guy who's proven that he can win games at a high level, against a guy who is seen as the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. So what the story of this game is going to be, will the LSU defense hold up against this young quarterback? And I think that's what the game's going to come down to.
Yeah, and we talk about these two programs heading into this year. Lane Kiffin obviously very happy where he's at. Brian Kelly had some early struggles in his tenure so far at LSU, but he's a proven winner. He wins everywhere he goes, and he does it time and time again. LSU has the preseason title buzz, right? Ole Miss, kind of some question marks after Jackson Dart leaves. Who do you think has the stronger identity in their locker room between these two programs right now?
I would say, as controversial as it is, the LSU Tigers have the more proven identity in this game just because they have a proven defense. Their defense has shown that they can be the reason why they win a game. In the Ole Miss locker room, you have a defense who just gave up 30-something points to the Arkansas Razorbacks. That is not something that is too promising when you're trying to build an identity on the defense. And then when you look at Ole Miss on the offensive side of the ball, if you asked me this 2 weeks ago, I probably would have said the Ole Miss had the more dominant figure, just because we all know what their offense is week in and week out. We can't say that anymore because of this new quarterback situation. So I think the LSU has the more proven identity in this game because of their defense.
Yeah, and they have a clear leader at quarterback. Garrett Nussmeier is a leader on and off the field. The guys trust him. The guys love him, and they follow his lead. It's the perfect setup for LSU heading into this year. It kind of reminds me of a year of Joe Burrow, maybe not statistically, but just in terms of leadership, just in terms of that team identity. They know who they are, they're confident in their play, and they show it on the field. It's going to be interesting to watch this Saturday. I want to talk about Chambliss versus Blake Baker. Blake Baker, obviously a very good defensive coordinator for the LSU Tigers. This is a big game for them to show up. LSU got a lot of flack last year for not being the defense that they're known to be, and they've shown themselves early in the season. So I got to ask you, Rooster, if you're Blake Baker, If you're Blake Baker, are you more concerned with the first read or the first escape when you're game planning against a quarterback like Chambliss?
Well, I think you would have to be more concerned with the first read because Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin is a genius when it comes up to drawing plays to get receivers open. Ole Miss, now LSU is going to be able to dial up blitzes all day long to prevent an escape from the quarterback. They can implement contains on defense. They can implement blitzes. They can find plenty of different ways to prevent the scrambling offense of Chambliss. However, Lane Kiffin has shown time and time again that he has the ability to get his top receivers in very beneficial one-on-one matchups. So I think that the focus of Blake Baker has to be to eliminate Ole Miss's number one option.
Yeah, I mean, that is their offense, right? And as much as we talk about Lane Kiffin wanting to pass the ball, he's a run-first guy. The play action sets up the pass play. We've seen that early on, even at his days in Alabama. That was his will to win. All we remember is the flashy receivers, but it's the run plays time after time that set up those play action deep balls. And I think that's what he's going to try to do against Blake Baker here. He's going to try to set up the RPOs, the run pass options. He's going to set up stuff like that. Let's talk about the other matchup, number 2 in this game. LSU's run game versus Pete Golding's structure on defense for the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss lives in 3 down, 5 DBs. They love it, but that makes them vulnerable to the run game. Do you think LSU has a good chance to run the ball effectively in this one against Ole Miss's defense?
The short answer is yes, mainly because you take a look at Ole Miss's defense, they haven't done really anything all season long. Their first SEC game of the year, and they gave up 5 touchdowns to the Arkansas Razorbacks. And then on the LSU side of the football, you have the number 1 running back in the country from this year's class, and you have the number 1 running back in the country from last year's class with Caden Durham and Harlan Berry. Those are 2 vaunted running backs. I think LSU is going to be able to impound their will in the run game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, and there's no doubt about that. This is an LSU team that is, in my opinion, complete in every facet. Are they perfect? No. Is any team perfect? No. But to me, between them and Oklahoma, they're the most complete teams on every side of the ball right now, including special teams. But I don't want to waste anyone's time here. This is a big primetime matchup on ESPN, 3:30 kickoff. And this is a big game for both of these teams. My question to you, Rooster, and I'll start with you this time. Ole Miss currently favored in this one at home. Number 4 LSU versus number 13 Ole Miss. Who comes out on top in this one?
Well, I don't know if you guys saw Lane Kiffin's response to the Instagram post.
No, I did not.
He said a 3-word response. Take the over. And I'm going to have to abide by his rules. And I'm going to take the Ole Miss Rebels in this one. As much as I've hyped up the LSU Tigers all night long, when Lane Kiffin speaks, you have to listen.
Wow, I was not expecting that one. Mom, you've heard about the quarterback play. You've heard about Oxford, Mississippi, and all of the Bachelor / Love Island / Jerry Springer episode that takes place there with Lane Kiffin's daughter. Who do you have coming out on this one?
Wow, listening to y'all, it's hard to pick. But I will say I have a former student that I taught in 4th grade, Hayden Bradley, and he is now playing for Ole Miss. So I can't help but go with my heart on this one. And I'm going with Ole Miss.
Pretty solid pick right there, but I'm going to have to disagree with both of you. It's plain and simple. Give me the LSU Tigers. And the biggest reason is this is a complete football team, right? You can say what you want about Lane Kiffin and his explosive, dynamic offense, but they give up a lot of points on defense. You mentioned it with Arkansas. It's going to be no different with LSU. Garrett Nussmeier, he knows who he is. Yes, the quarterback playing style is different for the LSU Tigers compared to Arkansas with Taylor Green there at quarterback. But give me the LSU Tigers. I just think they're the more complete team. They want to win this game. I want to see what the Twitter outcome is for this one between Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly. I would love to see those two square up in a boxing match. That would be fun to watch as well. But for this game alone, give me the LSU Tigers simply based on the fact that they're more complete.
And I also have one question that is going to be very important when you're watching this game. The question is LSU's defense that good, or is it just the fact that they've played two of the worst quarterbacks in the entire country this season with Cade Klubnik and DJ Lagway?
Look, it's very possible, and this game's going to show a lot. But defense travels, and they traveled to Clemson. I think they traveled to Oxford as well. And I think in the end, LSU comes out on top. Look, I've been wrong before. I could be wrong again. Kirk Herbstreit, none of those guys are perfect. Stanford Steve, probably one of the worst pickers in all of college football. So he's probably going to take Ole Miss to take the points and all this other stuff. Give me LSU. Stanford Steve, you're wrong. And yeah, give me the Tigers. LSU fans, Ole Miss fans, drop your scores down below. Let us know down in the comments what you think about this matchup on Saturday afternoon, 3:30 kickoff on ABC. We'll see you next week. Hit that subscribe button. It's time to break the huddle.